どのぐらいのことができるか分かんないですけど、一応先手を打って質問を考えましたので、僕は質問する側で、リカ・アンダーソンさんに答えてもらうということです。ただし簡単に答えられるようなものを聞いてもつまらないので、そうでないものをできるだけ選ぶように努力しましたのでさっき出てきたような漫才みたいなわけにいかないんですけども、人工知能漫才程度になるといいなと思いますが、一方的に質問するだけですから You answer じゃあ最初の質問はですね、ちょっと純不動的なところもあるんですけども、ゴールドオープン、ほぼこれは先ほど答えていただいちゃってるような感じがしますが、そのゴールドオープンアクセスジャーナルは、今までのサブスクリプションジャーナルに置き換わるものになる、近々なるということがあり得るかどうかということですか。Yes? No. No. Okay. Why?
I guess it depends on what you mean by replace. I do not anticipate a future in which there is no longer, in which subscription journals are gone. The barriers to that scenario, I think, are too great. I do think that what I think is more likely is that all or almost all subscription journals will become hybrid. But I think it's very unlikely that we will end up in a world with no subscription journals.
So what's going to be the percentage?
Higher than it is now.
Okay.
Less than 100%.
I know. ということです。こういうやり方やってもよければ、何か今の点についてフロアの方でさらにご質問されたいことがあれば伺いたいですけども。OK。申し訳ないけど、はい、すいません。
Just a very quick one on this. Will activity in Europe with Plan S and Coalition S kill the hybrid journal, therefore your prediction will be wrong?
No, because Plan S has been a failure. It has, if anything, it has shrunk since it was initiated. 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Nobody other than the initial Coalition S members seems to be signing on. A few other funders and nations have said Plan S sounds pretty good, but none of them has actually signed on. Several countries have expressed their, large countries, including India, have said we're not signing on to Plan S. I shouldn't say Plan S is a failure. I think for the members of Coalition S, Plan S has been a success. If the purpose of Plan S was to become the new model for open access in the world, it has failed at that. And I don't see it making any progress in that direction.
質問じゃなくて反論した人がいるんであれば、いないか。So we are all convinced.
Oh, great.
Really? So no.
Well, Plan S is fully implemented now.
Well, yes.
Among the members of Coalition S. Is it going to take over the world? No.
No. Okay. By fully, I meant that.
Yeah.
So, so the next one is the volume of publication. That's what we have already confirmed. And it will increase the total cost of scholarly communication But the one problem is we cannot measure the size of the submissions. Now, so we only can measure the size of publication. So we don't know how much we really need, given
Right.
the increased size of research outputs. So
I think your second sentence is too categorical. It's too simple.
simple.
The, the size of publication certainly increases the cost to anyone who has to pay for access. The size of submissions increases the cost to publishers.
Yes.
To some degree, the increased cost to publishers will be passed on to readers to the degree that the subscription model continues.
Not only to the readers, but also in the case of APC.
Well, but that's not a subscription model now. Now you're talking about an open access model.
But even if in the case of the open access, you need some kind of reviewing.
Oh, right, of course.
So the difference between the size of the submission, size of publication, is the cost. The cost of which is actually for the review process. So
right, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest challenges that publishers face as the amount of research output increases is actually the cost of rejection, which is a cost that can't be recouped in subscription. It can't be recouped in subscription fees, and if the APC is actually a publication charge, it's not recouped by APCs either.
Okay, that's, I think, is a technical point. And what I really want to know is how we need more money, how we can afford that money.
Oh, it depends. I mean, it depends on your source of revenue. Yes. I mean, if you depend on revenue from subscription fees, then the answer is going to be one thing. If you depend on revenue from APCs, the answer will be another. If you're a diamond open access journal that depends for some kind of for its revenue on some kind of institutional subsidy or institutional subvention, then you're going to have a different answer. The answer is going to vary from journal to journal, I'm afraid.
And overall, we need more money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's true of every industry. I mean, every university needs more money. Every car manufacturer needs more money. Every journal publisher needs more money. I don't know what to tell you. Life gets more expensive every year.
Well, that's a fact of life, actually.
Yeah.
So, and then Global South problem. So we have Africa, Latin America, including Brazil, which you mentioned. And they will produce more research outputs. And so in the case of the advanced society, you can replace the you can replace ACP with subscription.
Right.
But they haven't paid enough yet. So how they can keep up with the increase of expenditure?
I don't know.
Is it possible at all?
Is it possible? I think what I fear is that countries in the global south that have fewer resources will cut corners on quality and rigor in order to meet the demand. That would be tragic for those countries if in fact what they end up doing is producing bad science because they can't afford to produce good science. That will be bad for scholarly communication, and it will be bad for those countries. I hope that's not what happens. it's possible that we could figure out a way for developed countries to subsidize scientific output in less developed countries. I don't know what that mechanism would look like. I could imagine it being administered by the United Nations. I'm not sure what other body would be in a position to administer something like that, and I don't know where the money would come from.
Yeah, actually, a couple of years ago, I heard something from somebody from a publisher, probably Springer, and he said that developing countries are developing, so they will have more money and they can afford it.
I hope that's true. I worry sometimes that we call all countries that are under a particular economic threshold developing, and I think some of them are developing and some of them are stagnating, but we call them all developing. I worry about the ones that are stagnating.
Like Japan?
Yeah, like Japan. You guys are really having a hard time. No. There are countries that are not making a tremendous amount of economic progress. A solution that's based on the assumption that they were here in 2020 and that they will be here in 2028 may not be a well-founded plan. And in other countries, they'll be farther. There are certainly some kinds of subventions that are happening already, at least on the supply side, right? So right now, we have programs in place that give countries with beneath a certain GDP threshold discounted access to published content that's very expensive in the developed world. That's one mechanism that allows us to help. As far as directly subsidizing the production of scientific outputs, I'm not sure what the solution is to that.
Okay.
So far, I have no useful answers to any of your questions.
Those are my questions, actually.
Okay.
And what is that? Yes, so people are talking about transformative agreements. And transformative means transforming towards something.
Yeah.
So what is?
I don't know. I keep asking that question, and I keep not getting an answer from the people who are doing transformative agreements.
What's your possible answer?
Well, one thing that I wonder is when people talk about transformative agreements, is the agreement meant to lead towards a complete transformation of scholarly communication? That's one possible answer. Another answer is that the agreement is meant to transform the library's collections budget from a buying budget to from a subscribing for access budget to a subsidizing publication budget from the author side instead of from the reader side. It might also mean transforming a publisher, since transformative agreements are invariably with particular publishers. It could be trying to lead to the transformation of the publisher from a subscription access or a hybrid publisher to a completely open access publisher. What is intended and it's almost always libraries that are pushing the transformative agreement. What is intended on the part of the library, I think, varies from library to library, but it's very difficult to get people to talk openly about what they're trying to do. So, for example, right now I am preparing a post for the Scholarly Kitchen in which I went to the ESAC database and I selected the 6 largest, in terms of article output, the 6 largest transformative agreements that have been entered into in the last couple of years that have unique publisher, library, or consortium pairings. So I'm looking at the agreement between Elsevier and VSNU. I'm looking at the agreement between Wiley and Project Deal, the one between Cambridge University Press and the California Digital Library, and so forth. And what I've done is, so 6 deals, 2 parties to each deal, so that makes 12. I have sent the same question to each of those 12 participants, and I've said, you entered into a transformative agreement with so-and-so. 5 years from now, how will you decide whether this agreement has been successful? And I've gotten a very interesting range of responses, ranging from 1 sentence in one case to a very long essay in another case. And so far, one party has refused to answer. So this is going to be I think, a very interesting scholarly kitchen post. I'm hoping to have it done by next week, because I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple of people who have promised to send me answers. But this question, I think, is very fundamental. You enter into a deal like this, how do you know whether it works? And the answers I'm getting are very, very different.
NI じゃない。ジャスティスとケンブリッジユニバーシティプレスがトランスフォーマティブアグリーメントをささやかだけどやったと。NI の人いませんかね。NI じゃない。ジャスティスの人はいない。ご説明いただければ。さあ、いや、この答え、こっちの答えね。トランスフォーマティブアグリーメントで何を最終的に実現したいのか
と。早稲田大学図書館の笹渕と申します。現在ジャスティスの運営委員をしております。先日ジャスティスのサイトでも公開されました通り、CUP とR&P のR&P の提案をCUP から受けております。で、ジャスティスとしましては、昨年の総会において、OA2020 に向けたジャスティスのロードマップというものを公開しておりまして、その購読契約が厳しくなってくる中で、何らかの打開策を模索する中で、一つの方策として、オープンアクセスを伴う、トランスフォーマティブなアグリーメントも模索しているところです。その中で今回、CUB からの、提案の公開に至ったというところです。
そんなこと何年も前から言ってたような気がするけども、何か新しいものがあるのですか？
その何年も前からというのは、その購読契約が、そうですね、おっしゃる通り、購読契約につきましては、その何年も前から、限界に達しているというところは言ってきたかと思いますが、その中で、なかなかかといってではどういう打開策があるかというところで、なかなか難しいところがあったのが、今回は一つの方策として、R&P の、契約の、提案を受けたというところになっています。
Do you have any comment? No. Okay. Then これはこれもやはり先ほど問題になった点で、So what's your idea about how we can better employ better people not by using research output?
I guess my question to that would be, what's wrong with using research output as a significant criterion for academic employment? It seems to me to be a very relevant criterion and one that we ought to pay attention to. The people, in my experience, the people who say this is a bad system are mostly people who really hate the current system of publishing and are looking for ways to undermine it, which I understand. There are things that should change. in English, we have a phrase, throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Does that make sense in Japanese?
Yes, our bath is lighter.
I'm sorry?
Our bath is much lighter, so you can turn it over very
I worry that there are many people in the scholarly communication ecosystem who want to throw out the bathwater without thinking about whether there's a baby in it. And I think there is a baby in this bathwater. I think that while the criteria for promotion and tenure may not always be perfect, I don't think that there's anything fundamentally wrong with judging faculty, at least in part, on what they produce. So that's one question. The other question is, will we move to a different model? I don't know whether this is different in Japan. In the US, we will move to a different model when and if the faculty decide that they don't like the old model. The criteria for tenure and promotion are not decided by university administrators. They are decided by the faculty. The faculty decide what the criteria are by which they will judge each other. And it's a fiercely defended aspect of academic freedom that the faculty get to decide who is on the faculty. And the way they make that decision is by looking at certain criteria of job performance. How well do you teach? How much research do you produce? How much grant money do you bring in? How much service do you perform on campus? And these different criteria are weighted in different ways. But I don't see any reason to throw out the criterion of research productivity.
But people's sense might be that there are some bad side effects.
There are bad side effects to everything.
Of course, but in this case, the tenured portion of faculty is diminishing in U.S. universities.
Yep.
And that might increase the some sense on the part of the people who have not tenured, that the current system of using the research output as a criterion for the promotion does not work properly.
Could be. I haven't gotten the impression that that's what junior faculty generally think. But it will be interesting to see whether that changes. There is, if anything, I think the very, very tight and still tightening academic job market, if anything, it's increasing the pressure to produce more research, because that's how you set yourself apart from the pack. It's a source of common sort of frustration in academic circles right now in the U.S. that for graduate students who want to move on to a tenure track faculty position after they get their PhD, in many fields, they have to have published a monograph before they finish graduate school. This is new. This is within the last, probably 10 years. And the reason for that is because it is getting so hard to set yourself apart from the huge population of brilliant, young, new PhDs. It's not enough to be brilliant and have a PhD anymore. You have to be brilliant, you have to have a PhD, and in some fields you have to have already published a monograph with a high reputation university press.
But that sounds too much.
It is too much. And yet, here we are, as we say. Part of the problem, and this, honestly, I think the biggest problem in higher education is not with promotion and tenure itself. I think the biggest problem is that it has become a con game where we attract graduate students into doctoral programs and tell them this is how you get ready for an academic career. And what we don't tell them while we're taking their tuition money, what we don't tell them is you have no hope of getting an academic job. Because while there are 30 students in our graduate program in our department, and there are another 30 students in another 200 graduate programs around the country, and when you graduate, there will be 4 jobs available. This, I think, is a much bigger crisis in higher education than research, than promotion and tenure.
Then we have articles in journals, but there are so many research fields where other means of communication are more prevalent.
Yep.
So how can you incorporate the factors in those fields into the general picture of how you communicate scholarly?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing some of that already. Certainly data sets are becoming increasingly important as an output in themselves. In fields like, for example, performance of theatrical arts research, video and audio recordings have for a long time been accepted substitutes for a master's thesis in realms like dance, music. The thing is, though, that as you move into an academic career in those fields, those are not careers that those are not disciplines that are highly dependent on article publication. In the sciences, in the hard sciences and the social sciences, the coin of the realm is the peer-reviewed article. In the humanities, the coin of the realm is peer-reviewed articles, but even more important are scholarly monographs. I think what we're seeing now is a diversity of currencies, academic currencies, and I think that as time goes on, we're going to see that diversity increase as disciplines change. So but I don't anticipate that the published article, the peer-reviewed article, is a very basic concept, and it works very well in many disciplines.
Many, yes.
Not all,
right.
But many. It won't go away until it stops doing that job well. Mm-hmm. I don't see any reason to believe that it will in many disciplines.
I don't argue. And then we are going to how many projects will survive? Yes.
5. No.
5.
I'm a very devoted music fan. And I have been obsessed with music since I was 3 years old. I grew up in the 1970s, late 60s, 70s, early 80s, when record labels it was the golden era for record labels. Record labels started going out of business with the advent of the internet. I have been watching changes to the publishing industry, and I'm always comparing in my mind the fate of publishers with the fate of record labels. Very few record labels that were around in the 1970s and 80s are still around. Even the big ones, Sony, Warner, Deutsche Grammophon, they still exist, but they're a shadow of their former selves. I think that it's going to be different with the big publishers. I think Elsevier, I don't know, Springer, we're still trying to figure, the marketplace is still trying to figure out what to do with Springer. I think they're getting ready for another public offering. But Elsevier, Wiley, Taylor and Francis, these are companies that are going to thrive, I think, no matter what happens with access models, because they have the resources. They have the resources to absorb the kinds of changes that are happening. Elsevier already doesn't call itself a publisher anymore. It calls itself a data analysis company or a data management company. That's a sign that Elsevier is still going to be very profitable 10 years from now. I am much more concerned about society publishers. Mm-hmm. Society publishers are in big trouble. They're being attacked from two sides. Commercial publishers are already coming to them and saying, you can make more money if you license your journal to us. At the same time, the open access movement is telling them, you shouldn't be charging for access at all, and is creating policies and mandates that will make it, for example, Plan S, that will make it harder and harder, to the degree that they're successful, for society publishers to continue as independent publishing companies. Both of those things are pushing society publishers into the arms of Elsevier, Wiley, Oxford University Press, other big multinational corporate publishers. And Oxford University Press is a multinational corporation, by the way. It's a not-for-profit, but it's a multinational corporation. And this is not the outcome that the open access movement is intending, but it is the outcome that they're creating, or helping to create. Mm-hmm. So I think the big commercial publishers, in 10 years, they're going to be just fine. 10 years from now, the society publishing landscape is going to be a much more desolate place than it is now, unfortunately.
一つだけ J ステージのほとんどのお客さんっていうか、ユーザーはソサイティパブリッシャーだと思うんですけど、今のような分析について小笠原さんはどういうふうに
多分そのいろんな文脈があると思うんですけれども、やっぱり状況の変化の中で、まさに今リクさんおっしゃったように、スクイーズされてですね、追い詰められているという状況はボールドにはその通りじゃないかなと思います。ですからその時に、ただそれぞれの楽協会さんもそれぞれの戦略性があるわけで、あとはそれを支えるリソースをどうやってですね提供するか確保するかっていうところだと思うんです。だからJ ステージの役割っていうのはそこで発揮されるべきことなんじゃないかなというふうに考えています。ありがとうございます。
素晴らしいお答え。じゃあ宮城さん。
Can I ask a follow-up question, though?
Yeah.
What do you believe is the power that is available to you to exert? Sorry, we took the microphone away from you. Sorry.
正しい答えになっているかどうか分からないんですけれども、なんていうかですね、多分ソサイティジャーナルの目的が他国と違うんだと思うんですね。日本のジャーナルの場合にはですね、ちょっとうまく言えないんですけれども、まず多様でありましたし、サイズにしても文脈にしてもそれから分野にしても非常に多様です。悪く言うと細分化しているっていうふうに言われますけれども、多様性があります。だからやっぱり戦うマーケットも違うんだと思うんです。そのことは強みかどうかは別として違いだと思っています。でやっぱり我々もはっきりとJ ステージとしての戦略性っていうのを打ち出すまでに至ってませんけれども、そういうところをうまくですねテクノロジカルに支えることができれば日本ならではの学協開発ジャーナルのモデルというものが構築できて、でサステナブルな出版 モデルが維持できるんじゃないかなと、そんなふうに思っています。
And I think that is a very possible future scenario is that we see instead of an increasingly common global scholarly communication culture, instead we might see an increasingly regionalized scholarly communication culture, a very Japanese culture, a very American culture, a very European culture, where they function like different countries that have ambassadors rather than like a single country.
はい、
ただ一つだけやっぱり忘れてはいけないのは、先ほど私申しましたけれども、ジャーナルというのは国の研究基盤なので、やっぱり常に一部のジャーナルについては世界一を狙う舞台で戦っていかなきゃいけない、それもしっかりと思います。それが J ステージかどうかは別なんですけれども、そういう要素はやっぱり失ってはいけないとも思っています。
Yeah.
OK、じゃあ宮井さん。
ありがとうございます。英語でコメントあるいは質問してもいいかと思うんですけれども、日本の学協会の皆様におそらく聞いていただいた方がいい話だと思うので、日本語で、質問をします。まずコメントですけれども、今この画面上に出ているご質問に対する答えとしての文脈では、ビジネスモデルとか、あるいはそういった生き残るであろう会社が持っている特性としてリソースが豊富であるというようなことをおっしゃられていました。で一方で日本の学協会っていう文脈で言うと、今小笠原さんがおっしゃった一番最後の方にさらっておっしゃったんですけど、テクニカルにそこを支えていくということをおっしゃっていて、私はそれがすごく大事だと思うんですね。というのは、リソースがあるということは例えばメタデータ一つ取っても、あるいは XML 化っていうお話がありましたけれども、それ一つ取ってもリソースがなければできないわけです。で日本の学協会の多くはそのリソースがないところで、そういった激しい学術コミュニケーションのインフラの変化っていうところにどうやってついていくべきかというところが一番大変なところであって、そこの受け皿になってきたのがおそらくそういった海外のパブリッシャーではなかったかなというふうに私は思います。ただ一方で日本には J ステージというものがあって、そこでテクニカルにそういったものが提供されていくのであれば、そこに乗るか乗らないかというのはあとはもう学会自身の判断になるわけであって、私はそのオプションが用意されたというのは日本にとっては喜ばしいことだと思っています。ですのでこのサバイバーとなっていくだろう出版社にとっては、そこと、自社が提供できるそういったリソースあるいはサービスっていうものと、その J ステージあるいはそうでないところでもあるかもしれませんけれども、日本の学協会が、自分たちのリソースとして使っていけるようなそういった環境、あるいは自分たち自身の努力、それから学術コミュニケーションの変化についていこうという気概、そういったもの全てが関わってくるんじゃないかなというふうに思います。すいません、全部コメントになってしまいましたけれども。
そう、それを聞こうと思ったんだけども、はい。Yes.
So, Anders Karlsson, Elsevier, we've spoken a lot today about publishing open access, but we saw beautiful examples of what you could characterize as science communication and open science. So I wanted to hear from you, Rick, what do you mean by open science? How do you define open science?
Have you identified yourself?
Anders Karlsson, Elsevier. すみません。
Well, open science, of course, is a much broader term than open access. Open science includes open practices during the conduct of research, as well as making the results of the research freely available. So things like trial registration is one aspect of open science. Lab notebooks that track and make public your practices in the lab. Open data, There are many facets of openness in the structure of open science. Did you have a question about open science itself, other than what it is, or?
No, I want to hear your definition as one. The second thing, I think the discussion, just discussing scholarly communication per se, is missing a bit the point of 10 years from now, where it will be more of the type open science and what we see from paper digests and so on. And that is where the industry is going. And those will be the characteristics of the survivors. That's a guess. I wanted to hear your comment around that.
I don't think there's anything about openness in itself that is inevitable. It's, again, it's part of the rhetoric of the open access movement that we're moving towards this inevitable universal transformation. I don't buy it. There's any number of things that can stop us before we get to a future of perfect, beautiful, universal openness. One of the things that gets in the way of open science is the fact that scientists are in competition with each other. They don't want, if I'm an oncologist, do I want there to just be a discovery of a cure for cancer? Of course I do. Would I like even more to be the one who first discovers the cure for cancer? Yes. Yes, I would. So that competition, the competition to be the first person to discover something that really matters, that competition in some ways is unhealthy because competitiveness can get in our way. In some ways it's very healthy because it drives us to look for things that, like a cure for cancer. Competitiveness between scientists militates against openness in some very significant ways. Other things that militate against openness are cost. It is not free to equip your scientists with open lab notebooks, and it is not free to gather and curate the data created by those notebooks. It is not free to register trials. Somebody has to, it is nowhere near free to manage a preprint server. Managing a preprint server is incredibly expensive to do it at all well. So cost is another thing. We have this idea sometimes that it doesn't cost anything more to do something open than it does to do it closed. That's not true. Openness costs money. That's going to get in the way of a universal open science scenario in the future. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying there's nothing inevitable about it.
Okay, thank you. Actually, the limiting to scholarly communication was intentional. So I did not want. No, so that's so I his fault, right? I have more questions, but time is limited too. So, and アンダースさんおっしゃったように、彼の最後のスライドの最後にあったように、自由にメールで質問をすればいいということで、残りの質問は僕もメールですることにしますので、これで終わりたいと思いますけども、最後にぜひこれだけは聞いときたいということがあったら、どなたか一つだけ伺いたいと思いますが、まあなければすぐやめたいと思いますけども、ないですね。はい。じゃあこれでどうもありがとう。Thank you very much for your participation.